told the single most outrageous lie of his presidency at a campaign rally. And I realize the gravity of what I just said, that he's told over 5,000 lies during his time in office, but this lie, this took the cake. So first let's listen to what he said, and then I'll share with you a brief list that explains why Trump's statement is history's biggest load of bullshit.
The Democrat Party is, you've never heard this before, the party of crime. It's a party of crime. It's what it is.
The Democrats are the party of crime. Here's a list of Republicans in only the last 2 years during the Trump era who you might remember for their criminal activity. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt resigned under pressure from 16 different investigations into his spending and ethics scandals. Trump's lawyer Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to 8 counts of bank fraud, tax fraud, and campaign finance law violations. Trump's deputy campaign chairman Rick Gates pleaded guilty to conspiracy and lying to investigators. Former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. Trump's campaign chairman Paul Manafort pleaded guilty to 8 counts of bank and tax fraud. Trump's foreign policy advisor George Papadopoulos pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. Office of Indian Energy Director William Bradford resigned after hurling racial slurs directed at Obama. Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price resigned after spending over $1 million of taxpayer money on domestic and international flights. Brenda Fitzgerald, the Center for Disease Control Director and Trump's top public health official, resigned after getting caught trading tobacco stocks, creating a conflict of interest. Trump's FEMA chief, Brock Long, spent $151,000 on unauthorized expenses for trips home to North Carolina and to Hawaii. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke has racked up 14 federal investigations into his misconduct, including spending $139,000 in taxpayer money on an office door. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson got caught pressuring his officials to find money to pay for a $31,000 dining room set for his office. Trump's top economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, was caught hosting the publisher of white nationalists at his home. White House policy aide and speechwriter David Beatty was fired after speaking at a conference also frequented by white nationalists. White House Staff Secretary Rob Porter resigned from spousal abuse allegations. White House counsel Don McGahn and Chief of Staff John Kelly both knew about Porter's domestic abuse history, yet still opted to promote him. White House speechwriter David Sorensen resigned over domestic abuse allegations. New York lawmaker Chris Collins, the first congressman to endorse Trump, was arrested by the FBI for insider trading. California lawmaker Duncan Hunter, the second congressman to endorse Trump, was indicted by the Department of Justice for using $250,000 in campaign money for personal expenses, including trips to Italy and Hawaii and dental work, which he then tried to blame on his wife. Ohio lawmaker Jim Jordan is accused of ignoring the sexual abuse of Ohio State University wrestlers. He's currently running for Speaker of the House, a position previously held by another Republican, Dennis Hastert, who went to federal prison for, you guessed it, sexually abusing high school wrestlers. Minnesota state lawmaker Jim Knobloch dropped his re-election bid after his own daughter accused him of sexual abuse. Are you kidding me? Now the Texas delegation. Texas lawmaker Steve Stockman was convicted on 23 felony counts of perjury, fraud, and money laundering for a scheme to steal from charitable foundations. Texas lawmaker Blake Farenthold resigned after using public funds to settle sexual harassment claims. Texas lawmaker Joe Barton declined to run for re-election over lewd photo leak. Pennsylvania lawmaker Tim Murphy, a staunch family values anti-abortion congressman, resigned amid revelations that, shocker, he pressed his mistress to get an abortion. Pennsylvania lawmaker Pat Meehan resigned for using taxpayer funds to settle sexual harassment claims. Arizona lawmaker Trent Franks resigned amid sexual misconduct allegations. Montana lawmaker Greg Gianforte was found guilty of body slamming a reporter on the campaign trail. Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore was accused by at least 9 women of sexual misconduct and child molestation while district attorney. Virginia lawmaker Tom Garrett declined to run for re-election after he and his wife made his aides their servants. Eric Greitens resigned as Missouri governor after not only tampering with computer data to steal a donor list, but also trying to blackmail his mistress with nude photos he took of her while she was tied up and blindfolded in his basement. Arizona lawmaker David Schweikert is under investigation for misusing over $50,000 in campaign funds. Brett Kavanaugh, the newest justice on the Supreme Court, is not only credibly accused of sexual assault, but lied under oath multiple times to the Senate Judiciary Committee during his hearing. And Donald Trump is under investigation for literally everything from California to New York to Washington, D.C. at both the state and federal level, and is perhaps complicit in the biggest crime against this country in the history of the United States of America. So when you say that Democrats are the party of crime, and I'm stealing this line from Jeff Daniels, I don't know what the f*** you're talking about.